Before the internet, making extra money was not optional. If rent went up, if work slowed down, if a child needed shoes, or if the family needed food before payday, people had to figure it out. But there were no apps, no delivery platforms, no online stores, no YouTube channels, no Fiverr gigs, no Facebook Marketplace, and no viral side hustle videos telling people what to do next. So ordinary people used what they already had. A spare room, a sewing machine, a backyard garden, a strong back, a good recipe, a useful skill, or simply a reputation for being reliable. And some of those old income ideas worked so well that they never really disappeared. They just changed names. A boarding room became Airbnb. A paper route became delivery apps. A neighborhood errand runner became TaskRabbit. A home baker became a cottage food business. And a person fixing old furniture in a garage became a marketplace flipper. So in this video, we're looking at 20 forgotten ways people made money before the internet and the old school lessons that still apply today. 1. Taking in laundry. Long before laundromats became common, and long before washing machines were standard in every home, laundry was one of the most exhausting household chores. Clothes had to be soaked, scrubbed, boiled, rinsed, wrung out, hung to dry, pressed, folded, and returned. For families with money, paying someone else to do laundry was not a luxury. It was a necessity. That created a steady source of income for women, widows, immigrants, and working-class families who needed cash from home. They would take in shirts, sheets, collars, towels, and uniforms from neighbors, boarders, hotels, shops, or local professionals. It was hard work. The pay was not glamorous, but it was dependable because clothing always needed washing. The modern version is still around, just dressed differently. Today, people pay for wash and fold services, pickup laundry apps, dry cleaning, closet organizing, clothing repair, and even resale prep for secondhand clothes. The old lesson is simple. People will always pay to avoid chores they hate. 2. Renting out a spare room. Before Airbnb, people still monetized extra space. They called them boarders, lodgers, roomers, or paying guests. A household with an extra bedroom could rent it to a student, factory worker, traveling salesman, school teacher, nurse, or newly arrived immigrant. Sometimes the room came with breakfast and dinner. Sometimes it was just a bed and a place to keep your clothes. For many families, taking in boarders helped cover the mortgage, keep food on the table, or survive a slow season. It was especially common in cities where workers needed affordable housing near factories, docks, offices, or train stations. This was not passive income. A boarder meant more cooking, cleaning, privacy issues, and household management, but it turned unused space into cash. The modern equivalent is obvious. Airbnb, house hacking, roommate rentals, furnished finder rentals, and renting rooms to traveling nurses or students. The old idea still works because the core asset has not changed. Unused space can become income. 3. Selling eggs, milk, and produce from home. For rural families and people living on the edge of town, a backyard could be more than a backyard. It could be a tiny business. Families sold eggs from chickens, milk from a cow or goat, vegetables from a garden, herbs, fruit, honey, firewood, or preserves. They didn't need an online store. They had neighbors, local markets, church connections, and word of mouth. A basket of eggs or a few jars of jam might not sound like much, but small sales added up. During hard times, household production became a kind of financial safety net. If wages were low or work was irregular, a garden, chickens, or a few fruit trees could make the difference between getting by and falling behind. Today, this shows up as farmers markets, backyard chicken eggs, cottage food businesses, local honey, homemade sauces, microgreens, and small batch food brands. The lesson is that people have always paid for food they trust, especially when it feels local, fresh, or personal. 4. Taking in sewing and mending. Before fast fashion, clothing was expensive. People repaired clothes instead of throwing them away. That meant there was money in sewing, hemming, patching, altering, darning socks, replacing buttons, fixing coats, and making garments last longer. A person with a sewing machine could earn money from home by helping neighbors stretch their wardrobe. This was especially important when clothes were custom-made, hand-me-downs were common, and one good coat might be expected to last for years. Even when ready-made clothing became more common, alterations stayed valuable. A dress that almost fit, a pair of pants that needed hemming, or a jacket with a broken seam could become income for someone with a needle and skill. Today, clothing repair is making a quiet comeback. People need tailoring, wedding dress alterations, vintage clothing repairs, costume work, patches, zipper replacements, and resale clothing fixes. The old lesson is powerful. When people own something they value, they will pay to keep it useful. 5. Running a home boarding table. In many towns and cities, workers needed meals more than they needed restaurants. So some families created what was sometimes called a boarding table. Instead of renting a full room, they sold meals to regular customers. A group of workers, students, or single men might pay to eat dinner at someone's home several nights a week. For the customer, it was cheaper and warmer than eating at a public restaurant. For the household, it turned cooking into income. This worked especially well for women who were already preparing family meals and could cook larger portions. It was not easy money. It meant planning, shopping, cleaning, and feeding people on a schedule. But it was a way to earn without leaving home. Today, the idea lives in meal prep services, private dinners, catering, cottage food, neighborhood baking, and even subscription lunch services. The principle is the same. People pay for convenient food that feels more personal than a chain restaurant. 6. Delivering newspapers. For generations, delivering newspapers was one of the classic ways young people made money. A paper route meant waking up early, collecting bundles of newspapers, folding them, loading them into a bag or basket, and delivering them house by house. In some places, the carrier also had to collect payments from customers. That meant the job taught sales, consistency, customer service, and responsibility. It was not just a cute childhood job. It was a real local business system. The route had value because it connected a publisher to paying readers. For many kids and teenagers, it was their first experience earning money on a schedule. Today, physical newspaper routes are far less common, but the model never disappeared. It became delivery work. Food delivery, grocery delivery, package delivery, local courier work, and subscription box logistics all follow the same basic idea. People pay to have something brought directly to them. The old lesson is that convenience has always sold. 7. Selling from a pushcart or street stand. Before online storefronts, many entrepreneurs started with the simplest retail setup imaginable: a cart, a table, a crate, or a stand. They sold fruit, roasted nuts, flowers, newspapers, hot food, household goods, ice, candy, or small useful items. The advantage was low overhead. You didn't need a full store. You needed inventory, a good location, and the ability to talk to strangers. Street selling was common in crowded neighborhoods, near factories, train stations, schools, and markets. Some sellers stayed tiny, others grew into shops, restaurants, or distribution businesses. The pushcart was one of the original low-cost business models. Today, the same idea exists through food trucks, pop-up stands, flea market booths, farmers markets, festival vending, and mobile services. The lesson: you don't always need a perfect business plan. Sometimes you need a product, a place where people already are, and the courage to sell. 8. Running errands for neighbors. Before phones were in every pocket, and before delivery apps made errands invisible, people paid other people to do small tasks. Pick up groceries, deliver a message, take something to the post office, carry packages, walk across town to buy a needed item, help an elderly neighbor. In cities, messengers and errand runners were part of daily life. In smaller communities, a reliable person who was already going into town might earn a little money by doing jobs for others. The work was simple, but the value was time and trust. Today, this is everywhere. TaskRabbit, Instacart, local courier services, personal assistants, senior concierge services, and neighborhood helper businesses are all modern versions. The old lesson is still one of the most practical money lessons there is. If you can save someone time, you can charge for it. 9. House painting and odd repairs. Before every service had a website and reviews, people found repair help through neighbors, flyers, hardware stores, church bulletins, or word of mouth. A handy person could earn money painting fences, fixing steps, repairing screens, patching roofs, sharpening tools, hanging shelves, or doing seasonal maintenance. Many of these jobs were too small for a professional contractor, but too annoying for the homeowner. That gap created income. A person did not need a big company. They needed basic tools, reliability, and a reputation. If they did a good job, one house led to another. Today, the same opportunity is still wide open. Handyman services, furniture assembly, painting, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, minor repairs, and home maintenance are still in demand. The old lesson is that boring problems often pay better than exciting ideas. 10. Collecting and reselling scrap. Long before people talked about flipping or recycling businesses, there were scrap collectors. They collected rags, bottles, bones, metal, paper, used furniture, broken tools, and anything else that could be repaired, reused, or resold. In some cities, this was hard survival work. In others, it became a real trade. The money came from seeing value where other people saw trash. A broken chair could be fixed, a pile of metal could be sold, old clothes could become rags, glass bottles could be returned, used goods could find a second owner. Today, this idea is everywhere. Flipping furniture, selling vintage goods, scrapping metal, reselling thrift finds, restoring old tools, and marketplace arbitrage. The modern platforms changed, but the instinct is ancient. The lesson: profit often comes from recognizing value before other people do. 11. Babysitting and child-minding. Parents have always needed help. Before daycare centers were widely available, child care was often handled through relatives, neighbors, older children, widows, or women who watched several children in their home. This was sometimes formal, sometimes casual. A mother might watch a neighbor's child for a few coins. An older teenager might babysit at night while parents attended church, meetings, dances, or work events. A home could become an informal child-minding business. It was built on trust more than advertising. Today, childcare is more regulated in many places, and for good reason, but the core demand is stronger than ever. Babysitting, after-school care, tutoring, nannying, parent helper services, and kids' activity programs all come from the same need. The old lesson: trusted care is one of the most valuable services in any community. 12. Teaching a skill from home. Before online courses, people still paid to learn. They learned piano, sewing, typing, bookkeeping, dance, cooking, foreign languages, handwriting, public speaking, and practical trades. A person who had a skill could teach it from their parlor, kitchen table, church hall, or rented room. Some lessons were one-on-one. Others were small classes. The teacher did not need a massive audience. They needed a useful skill and a few students who trusted them. This was one of the earliest forms of knowledge income. Today, the internet made it global, but the local version still exists. Tutoring, music lessons, language coaching, test prep, cooking classes, craft workshops, and private coaching are all descendants of this model. The old lesson is that you don't need to know everything. You only need to know something valuable better than the person paying you. 13. Taking custom orders for baked goods. Long before Instagram cakes and online bakery brands, home bakers made money through reputation. They baked pies, bread, cakes, cookies, preserves, holiday desserts, wedding cakes, and special occasion foods. People ordered for birthdays, church events, funerals, weddings, holidays, and family gatherings. A good baker could become known in a neighborhood. The kitchen became the business. The marketing was taste, smell, and word of mouth. This kind of work was seasonal, but that was part of the opportunity. Holidays created demand. Events created urgency. Families who did not have time or skill were willing to pay someone who did. Today, cottage food laws, farmers markets, custom cakes, meal prep, and local delivery have brought this idea back in a new form. The lesson: special occasions create spending, and homemade can feel more valuable than mass-produced. 14. Renting out tools and equipment. Not everyone owned every tool they needed, so people borrowed, rented, or paid someone who had the equipment. A ladder, wagon, horse, sewing machine, typewriter, camera, lawn equipment, or specialized tool could become a source of income. Sometimes the tool was rented by itself. Sometimes the owner came with it and charged for the service. This worked because ownership was expensive. If someone only needed a tool once or twice, renting made more sense than buying. Today, this has become equipment rental, camera rental, party supplies, bounce houses, lawn tools, power washers, trailers, and even peer-to-peer rental platforms. The old lesson, an item sitting unused, is not just clutter. It might be an asset. 15. Typing and bookkeeping services. Before computers, paperwork created real opportunity. Typing was a valuable skill. Bookkeeping was even more valuable. Small businesses, students, writers, clubs, churches, and professionals needed letters typed, records kept, invoices organized, receipts tracked, and documents prepared. Someone with a typewriter and a head for details could earn money from home or a small office. This was especially powerful because many people did not type quickly or accurately. A clean typed document looked professional. Accurate books helped businesses survive. Today, this shows up as virtual assistants, bookkeeping, spreadsheet cleanup, resume formatting, document editing, admin support, and operations help. The tools changed, but paperwork did not disappear. The lesson: businesses will always pay someone who can bring order to chaos. 16. Hosting travelers or workers for short stays. Hotels were not always affordable or available. Travelers, seasonal workers, salesmen, and laborers often stayed in boarding houses, spare rooms, or private homes. Some households made money by offering short-term lodging, meals, laundry, or a stable place to sleep. In mining towns, port cities, railroad towns, and factory districts, this could become a serious income source. The business was based on location. If your home was near work, transport, or opportunity, your space had value. Today, the short-stay economy is massive. Airbnb, furnished rentals, travel nurse housing, student housing, and corporate stays are modern versions of the same thing. The old lesson is that location has always been monetizable. 17. Door-to-door selling. Before online ads and e-commerce, many products were sold face-to-face. People sold brushes, books, cosmetics, encyclopedias, sewing supplies, household cleaners, cookware, insurance, and subscriptions door-to-door. It was not easy work. You had to handle rejection, explain value quickly, and keep moving. But it created real income for people who could sell. Some door-to-door sellers were independent. Others worked for companies that built entire empires on direct sales. The method worked because the seller brought the product directly to the customer. Today, this model shows up in affiliate marketing, direct messages, local sales, home services, demos, and creator-led product promotion. The lesson: distribution matters. A good product still needs someone willing to put it in front of buyers. 18. Seasonal labor. Before modern gig apps, seasonal work was one of the most reliable ways to earn extra money. People picked fruit, harvested crops, cut ice, shoveled snow, sold Christmas trees, worked fairs, helped with canning, cleaned yards, split firewood, or took temporary holiday jobs. The work followed the calendar. Spring had planting and repairs. Summer had farms, fairs, and markets. Fall had harvest. Winter had firewood, snow, and holiday sales. For people who needed extra cash, seasonal work filled gaps. Today, seasonal income still exists. Landscaping, snow removal, tax prep, holiday retail, event staffing, summer camps, farmers markets, and seasonal home services. The old lesson: every season creates problems, and every problem creates a market. 19. Repairing and sharpening household items. Before cheap replacements were everywhere, repair was normal. People paid to sharpen knives, repair shoes, fix watches, mend umbrellas, restore furniture, repair pots, sharpen saws, and fix tools. Skilled repair workers were valuable because they extended the life of things people depended on. A good cobbler, tinker, furniture repairer, or tool sharpener could build a loyal customer base. The work was practical, local, and reputation-driven. Today, repair skills are still valuable, and in some cases, even more rare. Knife sharpening, shoe repair, phone repair, furniture restoration, appliance repair, bicycle repair, and small engine repair all follow the same pattern. The lesson: when fewer people know how to fix things, the people who do can charge more. 20. Turning a hobby into a small local business. Even before the internet, People found ways to turn hobbies into income. They made quilts, carved wood, painted signs, repaired clocks, arranged flowers, raised animals, took portraits, played music, wrote poems for events, made furniture, or created handmade gifts. The customer base was smaller than today, but so was the competition. A person could become known locally for one thing: the woman who made the best wedding cakes, the man who repaired chairs, the teenager who drew portraits, the neighbor who made beautiful holiday wreaths. The hobby became income when people were willing to pay for the result. Today, the internet gives hobbies a global storefront, but the foundation is the same. Make something people want. Show it to people who might buy it. Deliver consistently. The old lesson: a small skill can become a small business before it ever becomes a big one. When you look at these old income methods, a pattern appears. People made money by solving problems close to home. They helped with chores. They rented unused space. They cooked, repaired, delivered, taught, cleaned, sold, grew, hosted, organized, and reused. They didn't wait for a perfect platform. They looked around and asked, what do people near me need? That question is still useful today, because even though the tools changed, the basic opportunities did not. People still pay for convenience. They still pay for trust. They still pay for skills they don't have. They still pay to save time, avoid stress, fix problems, and feel prepared. The internet made money-making look complicated, but many of the oldest income ideas were simple. Find a problem, offer a solution, build a reputation, repeat, and sometimes the best new idea is just an old idea that everyone forgot. If you enjoyed this look at forgotten ways people made money, subscribe for more old-school money stories, lost side hustles, and practical lessons from the past. Thanks for watching.